Welcome to Q&A practice. Let's get started with some two voice. Get our fingers warmed up. And we will start with defense attorney. Ready? Now, after you were taken to the emergency room, did you receive some treatment while I was there or after I left? When you were taken to the emergency room, you did go to the emergency hospital, did you not, at some time that evening? Yes. Did you receive some treatment? Yes. What kind of treatment did you receive? I'm not sure. I guess I got my lip sewed up by one of the doctors that was on duty at that time. I guess so. Were you then released from the emergency room? I went home sometime that night. All right. Did you at any time after that see another doctor? I would have to go back and look through the records. I don't remember. Do you mean that night? At any time after, not just that night. Well, somebody had to remove the stitches. Who was the doctor who removed the stitches? I don't remember. Did you also see a dentist in connection with one of your injuries? Yes. Was that for a tooth? Yes. And was that dentist a Dr. Crow? Do you recall? I don't know. And what did he do in connection with that tooth? Do you recall? X-rays and all that, I guess. As far as your lip is concerned, that is healed at this time, is that correct? Yes. And you have no complaints regarding your lip at this particular time? Not that I know of. I notice your tooth is still broken, is that right? Yes. Have you discussed any possible replacement with Dr. Crow? Yes. All right, now let's try some four voice practice. And we will start with the plaintiff. Ready? And what is, he's responsible for international sales for the most part. Is that non-US sales? Yes. Does Ryder North China have somebody who's in charge of US-based sales? No. Now, I think you previously testified that Ryder North US, Ryder North China, Ryder North Limited each make and book sales in the U.S. Is that fair? Yes. Do all three make and book sales in the U.S. of canopy-related products? I don't believe Ryder North Limited does. I'd have to look back at some documents, but I don't believe Ryder North Limited does. Okay, Steve, I just put in front of you Deposition Exhibit 3, which is a commercial invoice. It's dated June 1st, 2003 in the upper right-hand corner. Yes. Is that a fair characterization, general characterization of this document? Yes. In the upper left-hand corner, Ryder North Limited is listed, I believe, as the seller. Is that a fair characterization? It's hard to tell. It looks like the flap is turned over. Have you? I would assume so, though, based on a commercial invoice. Okay, have you seen a commercial invoice from Ryder North like this before? Yes. Okay, so I take it based on your previous experience with such commercial invoices, you would conclude that Ryder North Limited is listed as the seller on Deposition Exhibit 3. Is that fair? I believe so. Okay, and just one warning to you, try not to talk over the top of me, and I'll try to do the same, of course. It's very hard to get a transcript when we're talking over the top of each other, so I know you know where I'm going with questions. Just let me get through the questions before you answer, and I'll, of course, try to do the same with you. Understood. Okay, Deposition Exhibit 3 lists Ryder North Limited as the seller of what are described as 10 by 10 gazebo, crafts. Is that a fair characterization? Yes, it is. And 10 by 10 gazebo, crafts, that's the type of canopy product that's at issue in this case, is it not? I don't know based on that description what it's got an item number here. I'd have to reference back to the item number. I can't tell by just 10 by 10 gazebo crafts. So you're just not sure based on that description? No, if I saw something that had the item number on it, then I'd be able to tell a little bit more, but 10 by 10 gazebo crafts doesn't tell me that it's the same thing as what's in this case. Okay, are there other types of products other than the canopies at issue in this case that could satisfy that description? Is that what you're saying? Yes. All right. You see how on Deposition Exhibit 3 it lists the consignee as Sears Roebuck and Company. Is that a fair characterization? Yes. And down below that it indicates that UPS Supply Chain Solutions Inc. USA should be notified. Is that a fair characterization? Yes. Would that mean that this UPS entity should be notified once the products were shipped into the U.S.? Would that be your understanding? They must be the broker of record. That's probably why they would be notified. And would they be notified once the products made port in California? They would be notified before that, actually, if they were the broker of record. Okay, at what point before that would they be notified? Probably vessel departure. Okay, and does Deposition Exhibit 3 indicate that the products described therein were shipped into California? Gardena, California, to be specific. Let's just broaden it to California generally. It appears Vernon, California. And Vernon, California is listed on Deposition Exhibit 3 in the to line. Is that fair? That's not what I was looking at, but I'm assuming that's the same thing. I see. You were looking down below where it indicates the final destination and code as Vernon, California. Is that fair? Correct. Excuse me. All right, just thought we'd take a little break there. So let's get back now to our transcript, back to the plaintiff attorney. Ready? Here we go. So based on that, you would conclude that the products described in Deposition Exhibit 3 were shipped into Vernon, California. Is that fair? It appears to be. And they were shipped by Ryder North Limited as the seller. Is that fair? That's what it appears. Okay, Steve, I put in front of you Deposition Exhibit 4, which is a commercial invoice. It lists Ryder North China Limited as the seller of certain products described in Deposition Exhibit 4. Is that a fair characterization? Yes. And the products described in Deposition Exhibit 4, 10 by 10 by 106, gazebo with screen. Did I read that accurately? Yes. Is that one of the products at issue in this case? Do you know? It may very well be. And could you pronounce for me the buyer of these products? Meyer. Is it Meyer Distribution Inc.? Yes. Okay, all right. And down at the bottom, Ray Weston signed this commercial invoice. Is that correct? That's correct. And he's listed as the president of Ryder North China. Is that correct? That's correct. Okay, I've just handed to you Deposition Exhibit 5, which is another commercial invoice. The seller is listed as Ryder North Limited, and it's dated August 4, 2001. Is that a fair characterization? Yes. And the buyer here is Big Lots Stores, Inc. Is that correct? Yes. And based on the notify box on Deposition Exhibit 5, would you conclude that the goods described in Deposition 5 were shipped through California? You can't tell by the notify. That's just the logistics company, the carrier, who signed this commercial invoice on behalf of Ryder North Limited. Can you make out that signature? No, I can't. Now, do all the profits of Ryder North US go into the profits of Ryder North Limited? To the best of your knowledge, everything is consolidated. Sales, margin, everything. Okay, and would that be the same for Ryder North China? All entities underneath Ryder North Limited get consolidated. And that will conclude our Q&A practice.